Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the updates 1.91 dev server and it's time to have a look at the F-89B. This is a machine which is coming to the American tech tree in updates 1.91. It's going to be a rank 5 battle rating 7.3 machine alongside its brother, the F-89D. Now you may wonder, why have they added two premium F-89s to the game? I have no idea. I think the main reason why they've done it is so they can tandem them together like this and make the F-89D really cheap to try and entice people to buy it. Because at the moment, as you can see, it doesn't actually have any guns on it. Instead, what it has is access to HVARs and Mighty Mouse rockets. And you may be wondering, well, where are those Mighty Mouse rockets? Well, they're in these areas here. So we're going to take a test flight out on this thing just to try and show you, where this thing fits in. And then we'll actually talk about the F-89B. So see, this is not just a, look at this isn't just a look at the F-89B. It's also a look at this machine too, since they both have very similar power. The only real difference is the fact that this one doesn't have guns and instead has a radar, which you can hopefully turn on. There you go. There's a little bit of radar moving there, just to show you what you can do. So this is going to be either a machine which people are going to use to try and take down bombers if they become very prevalent at 7.3, which I don't think that's going to be the case, or as a meme machine because of the fact that it only has rockets. I suppose you could take it out as a dedicated ground attacker because the Mighty Mouse does have pretty good ground striking capabilities, and also having a few HVARs as well ain't too bad. As you can see, the new jet engine effects. So if we're not wepping, they're black, and if we are wepping, they're on. So that's the basic difference between the two settings you get in jets at this moment in time. So with the HVARs, it's not hard to fire them. The only question is, are you going to be able to hit with them? And of course they're not going to do anything because their pen is not very good. So we'll just fire them away and I'll show you the Mighty Mouse. So the Mighty Mouse, they fire from the end of the wings. So convergence wise, you're going to have to really nail down your convergence with these things, otherwise you're going to be wasting a lot of rockets. And also, if you have a look at the air brake is on the tips as well. So a lot of this aircraft is based around the tip instead of really anything else. So that's kind of interesting. Whoa, they fire very high. Okay. Well, there we go. So you can generally get the idea of this thing. It's mostly designed just to fire rockets at whatever you want it to. It's not going to be competitive. Because of the fact that it doesn't have, not just because it doesn't have guns, but it doesn't have any other weapons. So it doesn't have bombs, it doesn't have anything which, unless you're really going to be trained with these rockets, and you can see we're hitting that guy bang on with these, and you're still not nuking it, you're only killing maybe crew members or gun breaches and stuff. These are not machines, these are not rockets which are just going to take over games. Unless you're really skilled with them, and you take them into ground forces and use those hundreds to really screw with people, then I don't see many people picking this up. This is kind of just like an added bonus on top of the F-89B. So the F-89B is the serious machine, and as you can see, it does have a radar in it, and it looks like the same or similar radar to the F-89B, but instead of just having rockets, it has 6 20mm M24A1 cannons, which are incredibly impressive. It also has 2 Allison J35A21Bs and fuel tanks in the wings, which the D does as well, but they're slightly different for obvious reasons. Fuel tanks all over the place in this machine. Armor-wise, there is a little bit protecting the pilots, but not the radar. Bulletproof glass is at 60mm, so pretty strong. And it doesn't get access to any secondary armament, so all it gets is the 20 millimeters. So you're going to have to do pretty well with the 20 millimeters. This is kind of your fighter version compared to the D, which is your ground fighter version, or your version which you use to go after bombers. Maybe with the Tu-4 coming for the Chinese, there might be a use for it, who knows. So the default belt, because this is premium, you get all this for it, out of the bat, and you get universal, air targets, armored targets, and stealth. So the armored target can pen up to 36, not a huge amount, so I'd probably just use this as an air-to-air fighter instead of really anything else. On top of this as well, because it's a rank 5 vehicle, it means that it's going to be useful for researching everything in the American tech tree. And because it's got an 810% silver lion percentage and also a 606% RP percentage, that's only worse than the F-35 Sabre when it comes to research, but it's actually got a better silver lion thing than it, and it's only costing 5,000 to repair. So the F-89B is going to be a silver lion earner if you are good in it. I think it's going to be quite hard to be good in it because it's going to have a general playstyle like the F-84, which can get you caught out quite a lot since you aren't great at turning. It's also got this wonderful angle on it, so you can see that when it is taking off, it's kind of forcing itself into the ground like a machine, like a race car would, trying to get that downward force, which is interesting. Anyway, let's take it out for a test flight. And the minimal fuel you can take is 19 minutes, so that's definitely enough for the majority of aerialistic battles. The cockpit is very nice. You have a very simple cockpit. It doesn't look fully HD yet. I feel like there might be a little layer missing compared to some other cockpits that we've seen. And also, because of where the guy is sat, until you're in the air, it looks kind of odd. This machine is also very big. At least it feels very big when looking at it, because one of the problems with having a machine with a very large tail is what it does is, depending on where your camera is situated, it blocks a hell of a lot of your screen. So do you see here how the camera is sat between the tail? And because this thing has such a huge tail, it means that a lot of your screen is taken up by the plane itself instead of what you want it to be taken up by, which is what you're fighting or, looking around the map. So that is a general issue with it, but that can be solved by good camera control. So when we're in the air... Is that music? Oh, anyway. So when we're in the air, you can see that it's very stable when it comes to its cockpit, and everything is lined up properly, so it's only a ground issue. One thing I will say about this machine is it does feel very much like the F-84, where it has good straight line speed, it seems to be okay acceleration, not the best but good enough, and also a lot of firepower in the nose. The problem is though, when you turn, you lose a lot of energy, and that means that going up against a lot of fighters, especially around the 7080 area, which generally are a little bit more turny than later jets, which have a lot more acceleration behind them, you may have a few issues if you can't catch them out. The reason why the F-84 can be very good at what it does is because it's very strong in the head-on, and it's very strong in getting that speed up, outrunning people, and setting up better positions in 2-on-1s. You can definitely do that in this machine as well, but at the same time, I'm not sure that I would have the 20s over the 50s. I really like the 50s when it comes to this area of the tree, compared to the 20s that we find. They're both very much deadly, right? Like, they're both incredibly good. There we go. Now, we did hit a red line there, if you didn't see, and I'll try and hit it again. So I wonder if this has the same problem that the Meteors have, where you're not actually able to hit your desired top speed. And it looks like we're at 890 in a straight line, still climbing to 900, and this is with war emergency power. So it's definitely a fast machine. We are struggling when it comes to it, and yes, we have to reduce speed. Wow, so this might be another one of those machines which can't go in a straight line too long, because it'll actually die, which will happen to a few machines. Basically, it's what at least for me killed the Sea Meteor, because it meant that in order to fly it, you had to constantly screw with the throttle to make sure that you weren't overspeeding when you got it fully modified. But if we're just talking about general design, this plane is beautiful. It's a wonderful plane. It's one that I haven't really ever read about or heard of, but I will say, after looking through it today, I am very impressed with the machine itself. It has a desired playstyle. It's only really going to be useful in aerialistic, which is obviously going to be a problem, but it is fast for a 7.3, and I can see it being good if you want to grind and you don't want to get sucked up into those higher echelons, which you would do if you buy the Sabre. This thing sits at around about, I think, 7,000, 7,500, so definitely pricey if we look at some of the other options that are around, but in my opinion, it looks really fun to fly. It handles okay, you know, it's not as maneuverable as some stuff, and I just broke my wing off by doing a simple turn. So it may be a little bit fragile, but then again, as I said before, it's something to get used to with these types of aircraft when you're going incredibly fast. And of course, it can fly with one wing, because why not? You know? Just like the F-80 and the F-84, this can too. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Joseph Anders, Martinez, Mopar 1969, Moxie, Super Cacti, Uyans Terry, and Elove Goats, and of course Seductive Trash Can, for supporting the channel.